Hello and bonjour encore. I'm back in Paris and this is the door to number 1 bis Rue Chapon. Or is it? You can knock on it and wait here for as long as you want, but no one is ever going to open it and let you in. And that's not just because they're Parisians, it's also because this is an art installation. The door appeared here early one Saturday morning in 2006 on what was previously a blank wall. And that got me thinking, I wonder how many other fake doors there are in the city. Maybe even whole fake buildings that people walk past every day without ever realising that they're not real. I bet there are so many they won't even fit into this intro. We're starting our fake building quest right in the middle of Paris at the Pompidou Centre. The architects famously put all the normally hidden parts of a building on the outside, from structural supports to electrical equipment to these huge white ventilation shafts. And what you end up with is a normal building on the inside that looks like some weird industrial infrastructure on the outside. And of course, we're here to see almost the exact opposite of that. And it all starts with another ventilation shaft in London. This is Leinster Gardens, a beautiful street near Paddington Station, and if you hang out in the same parts of YouTube that I do, someone has probably already told you about the fake buildings at numbers 23 and 24 that were built to disguise a ventilation shaft for the tube. But what you may not know is that Paris has loads of these. And just round the corner, next to this protest, I think we might have found our first one. Number 29 Rue Quincampoix looks real at first, but as you get closer, you can see that the windows have all been painted on. Why? Well, during the pedestrianisation of Paris's city centre in the 70s and 80s, they built a huge network of underground road tunnels here, and the artwork was commissioned to disguise a ventilation shaft, which you can see when you look at the satellite view on Google Maps. It's beautifully done, but if we're being picky, which to clarify, we absolutely are, it's pretty obvious that it's not a real building. But a short walk away, there's another, and this one is a lot harder to spot. Number 44 Rue d'Aboukir is a typical traditional 6-storey Parisian building, until you look closely at the front door. This notice tells you it belongs to the RATP, the company that runs Paris's public transport, and sure enough it's hiding another ventilation shaft. This time it's for the underground railway tunnel that carries suburban trains between Les Halles and the Gare du Nord. The transport company designed the facade to blend in as much as possible with the rest of the street, and you'd have to say they did a pretty good job. Which is more than can be said for what the electricity company did just up the road. In the 1970s, Électricité de France put a substation on Rue Bergere, and it was kind of ugly and the residents complained, so they thought, okay, why don't we do what the RATP did and build a facade in front of it? So they did. But I feel like they didn't quite understand the bit about blending in. See if you can spot it. To be fair, number 27 is a pretty convincing building. The only problem is that it would have been less ugly if it was just an electrical substation. Anyway, we've now walked almost all of the way up to the Gare du Nord, which is admittedly partly because I have to catch a train in about 15 minutes, but that's okay because as we know, trains mean ventilation shafts, and ventilation shafts mean fake facades. And what's coming up next is probably the best and most famous of the lot. The house at 145 Rue Lafayette was 90% demolished in the 1980s to make way for a ventilation shaft, or an entrance to the underworld, depending on whether you listen to the RATP or Umberto Eco. I'm not going to tell you who you should believe, but the historic facade was fully preserved, together with its classic second-floor balcony. And the guardians of the underworld seem to have put scaffolding behind it for maintenance purposes, so if you could get inside, you'd be able to climb up and open the windows. Any attempt to actually do this would be extremely dangerous and hugely illegal, which means, of course, there's a YouTuber who's done it. You can check out the link in the description below, but before you do that, there's time for one final stop just around the corner at number 174 Rue du Faubourg Saint-Denis. And yes, it's yet another ventilation shaft. There are in fact at least another 5 fake facades in Paris that we know about, so there's more to explore, but for today we'll end our tour here. Because there's only so many stupid jokes I can make about large-scale ventilation, and to be honest, I'm not a big fan. Okay, who wrote that? If you'd like to see the fake facades of Paris, from the outside at least, you can follow my exact route using the Google Maps link in the increasingly long description below. It takes about an hour, and I recommend doing it in the reverse order if you'd rather be going downhill. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.